I'm going to tell you 7 stories that will make you think twice about leaving your kids with a babysitter. These aren't urban legends or made-up tales shared around campfires. These are real experiences from real people, and honestly, some of them still give me chills just thinking about them. Before we dive in, let me just say that most babysitting experiences are perfectly normal. Kids get fed, they watch some TV, maybe play a few games, and parents come home to find everything exactly as they left it. But sometimes, very rarely, things go wrong in ways that nobody could have predicted. The stories you're about to hear come from parents, babysitters, and even the kids themselves. And trust me when I say that by the end of this video, you'll understand why some families have never hired another babysitter again. What makes these stories particularly disturbing isn't just what happened, but how ordinary everything seemed at first. Normal families, trusted babysitters, regular Saturday nights that turned into something completely different. I've spent weeks researching these accounts, verifying details where possible, and I have to admit that some of these kept me awake at night. The first story comes from a mother named Sarah, who lives in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside Cleveland. She had hired a babysitter through a reputable service, someone with excellent references and years of experience. The babysitter was a college student named Emma, who had been watching kids since she was 16. Everything seemed perfect. Sarah and her husband were supposed to be out for just 3 hours, attending a work dinner that couldn't be rescheduled. Their 2 kids, ages 7 and 9, were already in their pajamas when Emma arrived. The house was child-proofed, emergency numbers were on the refrigerator, and Sarah had even left detailed instructions about bedtime routines. She remembers feeling completely at ease as they drove away. Around 9:30, Sarah decided to check in with a quick text. No response. She figured Emma was probably busy getting the kids ready for bed, so she didn't think much of it. But when 10 o'clock came and went without any reply, something in her stomach started to twist. She called once, then twice, straight to voicemail. By 10:15, Sarah was making excuses to leave the dinner early. Her husband thought she was being paranoid, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The 20-minute drive home felt like hours, and with each mile, her anxiety grew stronger. When they pulled into their driveway, the house looked normal from the outside. All the lights were on exactly as they had left them. But the moment Sarah walked through the front door, she knew something was terribly off. The house was completely silent. Not the peaceful quiet of sleeping children, but an unnatural, heavy silence that made her skin crawl. She called out for Emma, but got no response. The living room looked undisturbed, toys still scattered exactly where they had been when she left. But as she climbed the stairs toward the bedrooms, she could hear her own natty heartbeat echoing in her ears. The kids' rooms were empty, beds unslept in, pajamas laid out but never worn. Sarah's voice cracked as she called their names, checking closets and bathrooms with growing panic. Her husband was searching the basement while she tore through every room upstairs, but they found nothing. No kids, no babysitter, no sign of where anyone had gone. That's when Sarah noticed something that made her blood run cold. Emma's purse was still sitting on the kitchen counter, her car keys right next to it. Her phone was there too, which explained why she hadn't been answering calls. But if Emma's car was still in the driveway and her belongings were untouched, where was everyone? The next few minutes became a blur of frantic phone calls. First to the police, then to Emma's emergency contact, then to anyone who might have seen something. Sarah's hands were shaking so badly, she could barely dial the numbers. What happened next would change how this family thought about safety forever. And it's just the beginning of what you're about to hear. About to hear. The police arrived within minutes, and Sarah will never forget the look on the officer's face when she explained the situation. He immediately called for backup and issued what's called an Amber Alert preparation, though they couldn't officially activate it yet, since not enough time had passed, but everyone could sense the urgency. While officers began searching the immediate area, Sarah's neighbour, Mrs. Chen, approached with information that made everyone's stomach drop. She had seen Emma leave the house around 8:45, but here's the thing, that didn't make sense. Emma was carrying what looked like a large duffel bag, and she wasn't alone. There was a man with her, someone Mrs. Chen had never seen before. The description Mrs. Chen gave was chilling in its ordinariness. Average height, dark baseball cap, jeans and a hoodie. Nothing memorable except for one detail that stuck with her. He kept looking back at the house as they walked toward a dark sedan parked down the street. Not the nervous glances of someone who's lost, but the calculated awareness of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Sarah's world tilted when she heard this. Emma had seemed so trustworthy, so professional during their initial meeting. She had passed every background check, provided references from other families, and even had a clean social media presence. How could someone like that just disappear with her children? The investigation moved quickly after that. Police traced Emma's phone records and discovered something that made the case take a completely different turn. The number Emma had given as her primary contact belonged to a phone that had been reported stolen 3 weeks earlier. The address on her application led to a vacant lot. Even her references, when police called them back, claimed they had never heard of anyone named Emma. It took nearly 6 hours, but they finally found the children. They were discovered in a motel room 40 miles away, unharmed but confused and scared. Emma was arrested, along with 2 accomplices who had been waiting in that dark sedan. What police uncovered during questioning was a sophisticated operation that had been targeting families for months. Emma wasn't even her real name. She was part of a group that specifically sought out babysitting jobs through legitimate services, using fake identities and forged references. Their plan wasn't to hurt the children, but to rob the houses while families were away. The kids were taken to prevent them from witnessing the crime or calling for help. Sarah's house had been completely ransacked while she sat at that dinner, worried about a text message. Electronics, jewellery, even family heirlooms that had been passed down for generations. All gone. But what haunted Sarah the most wasn't the stolen items. It was the realization of how close her family had come to something much worse. These 7 stories remind us that trust is something earned, not given. While most babysitters are genuine people who care about keeping kids safe, these experiences show why it's so important to verify everything. Trust your instincts and never ignore those warning signs that something might be wrong. Stay vigilant out there.